I watched them all the time. I think I watched Indiana State and Iowa. Caitlin Clark played about the same last year, so I watched a lot of basketball.
Like, can we get Caitlin Clark a little protection out there?
Anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady for what she's brought to the game should be suspended and fined big time.
What happens when one of the greatest basketball superstars ever witnesses the most gifted young athlete in the WNBA being singled out by dubious tactics? The basketball world has been rocked by Larry Bird's shocking remarks regarding Marina Mabrey's actions against Caitlin Clark. And you're going to find out. Let me ask you something first, though. Have you ever witnessed a top athlete being singled out the way Caitlin Clark has been throughout her career? Because Larry Bird's perspective on the WNBA has completely changed as a result of what he saw during that Connecticut Sun game. Here's why Marina Mabrey finds Bird's viewpoint so heartbreaking. Caitlin Clark is exactly where Larry Bird is at this moment. In the 1980s, Bird was the best player in a league full of amazing athleticism who attempted to physically intimidate him because they couldn't match his extraordinary basketball IQ. However, Bird highlighted this important distinction. This is the point at which Ma's reputation becomes quite intriguing. Bird is aware of the distinction between what he's witnessing with Clark and what he saw during the mob situation and championship-level competitive basketball. He described it as the most cowardly act I've seen on a basketball court in decades. You heard correctly.
Oh, and Marina Mabrey's going to get ejected. Marina Mabrey kind of blindsided Clark there. Oh, boy. Sheldon and Cunningham are getting into it. These two teams do not like each other.
Bird's response was instantaneous and utterly vicious. We saw the video of Mabrey pushing Clark from behind as she was coping with being poked in the eye. Almost no one in basketball history had a better understanding of what true competitive fire looked like than this man, who fought against legendary enforcers like Dennis Rodman and Bill Lemire. Even yet, he could see that Mabrey's actions went beyond any bounds of competitive integrity and sportsmanship. But pay attention to what Bird has to say regarding the timing of that shove. This is the point at which his analysis completely destroys Mabrey. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel before we proceed. Let's get back to the story. The basketball star made a point that many fans have been considering, but no one with his extraordinary credibility had the courage to express it out. Playing championship-level defense and taking cheap shots at a guy when they're completely exposed and not looking are two very different things. Bird stressed that his time was generally regarded as the most physically demanding in NBA history. When you had a disagreement with someone, you confronted them head-on like a warrior rather than waiting for their back to turn before acting like a predator. And Bird was most enraged by Mabrey's shameful strategy for precisely that reason. However, this is the point at which Bird's criticism completely destroys Marina Mabrey's reputation. The Celtics veteran was especially incensed by Mabrey's pitiful response to the situation. Rather than expressing any regret or admitting that she might have gone too far, Mabrey pretended that the media and fans were unfairly criticizing her. As she put it, "Damned if I do, damned if I don't." However, Bird became even more agitated after hearing such remarks. According to Bird, the game's champions and legends, truly great competitors, always accept full responsibility for their acts, particularly when those actions could seriously endanger another player. He claimed that seeing Mabrey play the victim and sidestep criticism made him think of athletes who secretly knew they couldn't compete at the greatest level. They therefore discovered other, dubious methods to influence the game. To put another way, Bird effectively referred to Marina Mabrey as a second-rate player who uses unethical methods because she lacks the actual basketball talents necessary to match better talent. This is where Bird's study really shines and exposes something amazing about Caitlin Clark. Bird saw in Clark the same unique traits that made him one of the greatest basketball players in history. That extraordinary basketball IQ, those illogical clutch shooting skills, and above all, that supernatural vision that greatly improves everyone around her. However, as someone who values basketball's ethics, he also notices something that truly worries him. Rather than concentrating solely on realizing her limitless basketball potential, this exceptionally gifted young athlete must always keep an eye out for cheap shots and dirty tricks. According to Bird, Mabrey's strategy embodies all that is wrong with certain players' decision to compete against Clark rather than challenging themselves to match her extraordinary talent level or outwork her on the court by commitment and preparation. She gets physically targeted when she is most vulnerable, which is an unsettling pattern. Bird described this behavior as the poorest kind of basketball competition he could think of. The whole basketball world is buzzing about Bird's incendiary remarks because of this, though. Bird likened Clark's situation to his own encounters with physical intimidation during his professional life. However, he was quick to draw attention to something that perfectly contextualizes Clark's predicament and elevates her. At barely 22 years old, he noted, Clark is dealing with a lot more hardship than most athletes encounter throughout their careers, and she's doing it while bearing the heavy burden of being the unchallenged face of women's basketball. However, Bird's remarks regarding Marina Mabrey's future in the league are currently going viral on social media, and you must hear to believe it. Bird argued that if the WNBA permits players like Mabrey to target superstars without consequence, it sends a message that average players can resort to unethical means to maintain their relevance rather than honing their genuine basketball skills. According to him, this sets a risky precedent that can discourage the players who are pushing the league to new heights. Bird went so far as to say that young players watching at home are misled by the league's inability to sufficiently penalize these behaviors. According to him, viewing the WNBA should teach children about skill, commitment, and sportsmanship rather than how to target opponents when they're weak. However, Bird's forecast regarding Clark's future in spite of these obstacles was arguably the most impactful aspect of his entire remark. He claimed that Clark was shaped by hardship and that every cheap shot, dirty play, an attempt to intimidate her just strengthen her would demonstrate her dominance via unadulterated basketball brilliance. Bird likened Clark's predicament to his own rookie season, when rival players continuously put him to the test physically to see if he could withstand the strain. He pointed out that the distinction is that Clark is dealing with this behavior in addition to the unheard of media attention and expectations that come with being the most remarkable player in WNBA history. This is why Bird's backing of Clark is so important. He's not merely protecting a gifted athlete. He is protecting basketball's inherent integrity. He believes that Caitlin Elizabeth Clark possesses all the qualities that define basketball, including talent, vision, class, and competitiveness. And he sees everything that may undermine the sport in athletes like MRY. The WNBA is at a turning point, as the basketball legend made evident. They have two options. Either they continue to let weaker players employ dishonest strategies to stay relevant, or they protect and highlight their best players, enabling guys like Clark to realize their full potential and improve the league as a whole. Bird's message was clear. Making the right decision will determine the league's future. The question that has everyone talking, though, is this one. Will Larry Bird's cautions regarding safeguarding Caitlin Clark be taken seriously by the WNBA, or will they keep letting players like Marina Mabrey use dubious tactics to damage the league's reputation? Let's carry on the discussion in the comments section below. What are your thoughts on Larry Bird's utterly damning critique of Marina Mabrey's actions? Do you believe he is being overly critical, or are critiques entirely justified? More significantly, do you think the WNBA will eventually take action to safeguard its biggest star? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. I read each and every one of them. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell if you want to see more analysis like this that breaks through the clutter and tells you what's actually going on in basketball. Caitlin Clark's treatment in the WNBA may finally alter as a result of Larry Bird's inflammatory remarks. The basketball community is keeping an eye on this topic. Don't miss what comes next. This is far from the end of the story. I appreciate you watching.